Cool. That is so awesome. Well, welcome everyone. I am super glad to see you here. Now, volume profile, I will not be able to cover every single thing that I know about the volume profile in today's session. There is so much, but I will, by the end of this course or at the end of this 1 hour session with you, be able to give you a pretty good overview of what it is and why it's a cool tool. I will start by telling you that it is not, under any circumstances, a strategy. Okay, the volume profile is it's basically a scientific way of organizing information that the market gives you in an organized scientific manner that allows you to gain better context from the market. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, and I'm just going to start sharing my screen. And at any time, if you guys have any questions, please, by all means, ask away. And bring that over here. I'll bring the chat down so I can see it. There we go. And for all of you that come and join me every single week, this is going to be some repeat. We'll continue building on everything again next week. But for this week, I'm just going to start right off from the very basics. So if you have a TradingView account, please feel free to throw a 2 in the chat if you're familiar with TradingView. If you do not use TradingView, then if you use Thinkorswim, there's a video on our website that, excuse me, that Thomas Wong did that shows you how to install the volume profile into Thinkorswim, so you can follow that video. But if you do use TradingView, then this is the one, and this is how you can find it. So right now we have a chart open, and the very first thing, hey, Scott, I recognize you regularly because you are one of our awesome commenters on YouTube. So thank you very much for that. All right. In the actual chart, up in the top middle, you're going to see the tab that says Indicators. If you click on Indicators, you will be brought to this little menu right here. And if you go down to Technicals, along the top, you will see Indicators, Strategies, Profiles, and Patterns. If you go to Profiles, this is where you find all of the volume profiles. Now, the one that I'm going to cover today is the session volume profile. So we will click on the SVP, this session volume profile, and add it to our charts. And if you're following along, you can go ahead and do that. Now, right off the bat, if you're following along with me, yours are not going to look like mine. I've already customized mine, so we're going to get into all of that after I explain a little bit about what the volume profile is. So as you can be aware, volume profile includes volume. It's a volume indicator. Now, there is another volume indicator on my chart, and that is the one that is down in the bottom right here. It's with these green and red bars and this blue line. Now, the one on the bottom, most of you are probably familiar with, and that is volume by time. And what that does is based on whatever time frame you have. So this particular chart is a 1 hour. So in 1 hour, from the start of the hour to the finish of the hour, this bar tells you how much transacted during that time. And if you hover over that bar, you can see that on this particular chart, we had 8.34 million transactions that took place inside of that one bar. Now, the nice thing about the volume profile is the volume profile shows you volume by price, not by time. So if you can see, as I scroll out, what it does is it plots horizontally instead of vertically, and it plots it out based on the price point. So what that does is, let's look at this big section right here. Let me grab some tools. We grab a big section right here, like you can see that little node right there. It goes all the way out to here. That's what's called as a node. That is the volume that took place at this particular price. Okay. So right there, that's the price. And it's not based on time. It's based on actual price. So the more time or the longer we spend at a particular price, the more likely that volume is going to build out. All right, so that's volume by price. The bottom one, this one here, is volume by time. Two very different things. I like to say that the volume profile or the volume by time gives you the when, and the volume by price gives you the where. Okay. So that's kind of the way that I use it. Now let's dive into the settings first. And if you guys, like I said, have any questions, if I'm going too fast, if I need to repeat myself, please let me know in the chat. All right. What is the difference in the pink and blue? We are going to go through all of that. So I will show you exactly what that is. Absolutely. Okay. We'll get into the settings first. So to get into the settings, you go up into the top left-hand corner and you can see the indicator's been added to your chart. You will highlight it and then you're going to click on the little gear box. So click on that gear and we're going to open up the settings. Now, the session, that's the first thing that we can take a look at. And right now it's set to all, but you can change this to each, which separates the pre-market, post-market, and the market. I personally don't like to do that. Because I don't like my pre-market, post-market separated. If I'm going to do that, I would rather have those two sessions together and the market together. So two options, and I wish they'd change that. So I have to do it a little bit differently. So I don't use that option very often. You can do pre-market only or post-market only, but I'm just going to do market only at this point. And what this is going to be used for is just for intraday. Okay, so for the regular session, intraday trading. So which volume profile did I use? I used the session volume profile. All right, so inside of the indicators, go to the profiles and you'll find session volume profile, and it will say SVP when you put it onto your chart. SVP, market only. All right, so the next thing that I change is volume. So default will say up, down. And if I show you the up, down, this is the up, down, and you can see that in each bar you have a blue and a yellow in this particular case. So it's showing you the sell and the buy volume. Now, for me, it absolutely makes 0 sense to have that information on the chart because it doesn't tell me whether or not the sell volume is exiting or entering a trade, and it doesn't tell me whether the buy volume is exiting or entering the trade. So it's really, it doesn't help me. So I don't need it on the chart. I would much rather have total on the chart because I just need to know the total volume. I can tell based on the price action afterwards whether or not it was buy volume or sell volume based on the direction and whether it was entering or exiting a trade. Okay. So I put it on total. I leave the value area set to 70, which is the default. The next thing that I change is the rows layout. Now, this is normally set to numbers of rows. I do ticks per row. And what that does is, if you go onto the right-hand side of NVIDIA, for instance, that's what I'm looking at. Each tick is a penny. So NVIDIA works by pennies. If you were looking at, say, the micro ES, it works by 25-cent increments. So each tick is 25 cents. So the tick per row would be the number of those ticks. So 1 penny, 2 penny, 3 penny, 4 penny. Right now, this is set to 3. So that would be 3 cents that row size is. And what that does is it takes the volume at 3 different price points, those 3 pennies worth, and it adds it all together and creates a line. It combines them. If I change this to a 1, then what will happen is every single volume bar that's here will be 1 penny. It'll be exactly for each price point on here. So if we look at a bar, and I have to scroll in quite far to get into the detail here, but you can see right here, there's the beginning of a bar, which is at 422.57, and the high of that bar is 442.58, which is exactly 1 penny. Okay. Alrighty. So let's get back into the settings. And the next thing is I put extend POC to the right. And I will explain what the POC is shortly. But this is one of the things that I think is important, is valuable information. And I want to see it extending to the right so I know where they are from previous profiles. Okay. Now, if we jump into the style tab, we have the volume profile. Now, this values tab, if I was to select it, click OK, and then zoom right into the chart. Now, before you guys saw that I didn't have anything showing up here. Now that I have that values selected, it actually tells you the amount of transactions that took place at that price. So you can see that at $442.64, today's session had 44,192,000 shares transacted. All right. But because you have to zoom in so far, it's of zero value to me. So again, I have that turned off, but that's what that's for. So I leave that turned off. The width just shows you how wide this box will be. And I just leave it at 50%. That's fine. Now, this is another area that I changed. So default is left. I have it put to the right. And the reason that I put it to the right is because when I'm trading and I'm using the volume profile, I'm not using today's session. I'm using yesterday's session. So everything that I'm doing is based on how is price moving in relation to yesterday's session. So I don't want it on the left-hand side because I can't see it very well. And I'll demonstrate that right here. Okay, so let's just close this out for a second. And let's drop into an intraday chart. Let's go into a smaller chart. So right here, we're on a 3-minute chart. Now, this is yesterday's session profile, and that's what I care about. What is price doing in relation to yesterday's profile? I can see that it's gapped below the low, and so therefore it's not really interacting with yesterday's profile. That's important information. Now, if I was to go back in here and change this to left, now I can't see yesterday's profile very well. So for me, I'm looking and going, okay, well, where are we in relation to this? It's just a lot more difficult for me to see. I have to zoom in or tighten up my shot a little bit more. I can't zoom out the way that I want it. I would much rather have it showing the other way. So I always turn it to the right, so I have access to that prior profile, because that is the most important profile that I want to see for my intraday session. Okay. All right. Back in the settings again. The next thing, this up volume. This is what colors this top section here. And basically there's up, down volume and value up, value area down volume. That is only relevant if you have this setting here turned on. So if this was up and down, then all of these would be used. But because I've got total, the only ones that are used are, let's see here, this one and this one. Those are the only ones that matter. And that's what colors this thing right here. Okay. Alrighty. Next thing, make sure that your POC is checked. And you can change the color. You can go into here, change the color, change the thickness of the line. We're going to leave it as red, at least I do. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this developing point of control, or POC. I'm going to jump into that color and I change it to orange. I also make it thicker. And again, I will explain what all this is in just a second. I just want to run through how to actually do this. So, all righty. Okay, click OK. All right. How's everyone? Are you guys all following me so far? You guys good? Now, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to right click on it and I'm going to change the visual order and I'm going to send it to the back. And that makes the candles come to the front so it's not interfering with my candles. Okay. All right. So now you guys know how to put the volume profile onto your chart. Now let's go over the anatomy of the actual volume profile. So a question was asked earlier, what is the pink section? What is the blue section? So we're going to cover the blue section first. That's this section right here. That is what is called the value area. Now, what the value area represents is the place where 70% of the transactions, the volume, 70% of the volume took place during today's session. Okay. It is what is considered and deemed fair value. It is some place that would be average, right? That would be average. If you were to look at, say, the price of a car. Let's say you're looking for a Toyota Tundra and you're out shopping around for a Toyota Tundra and you check all the dealerships and you're looking on Kijiji and you're looking on Auto Trader and checking out some of the other online available sites. You get an idea of what the average price is where those trucks are being sold, right? And from there, you can start to get a feel for when things might be a better deal, because all of a sudden a truck comes on the market and it's $3,000 below fair value. Well, that's going to catch your attention. Or maybe you see a truck come on the market and it's $5,000 higher than the highest priced vehicle that you've seen. And you're going, wow, that's expensive. What's up with that, right? And that's what value is. Value determines, or it is deemed as a fair price. And that is what this is called. This zone right here is the value zone. The next zone we have is this upper pink section. And then we have this lower pink section. And this is going to be different with every single profile. Okay, so each profile is going to have a different value zone. It's going to have a different value area high and value area low. This section here is known as the value area high. This section right here is known as the value area low. Now, if this is known as fair value, then this would be an area that would be discounted, that would be below value, and that would be a good buy, right? This area up here is known as value area high, which would be a premium. It would be above fair value, and it would be expensive. Therefore, it's a premium. Okay, so that's what these areas represent. When you get up into this area here, generally people want to be selling. And when you get up into this area here, generally people want to be buying. Okay, that's typical. All right. The next thing that we have on here is this red line right here. You can see that red line. You can see it right here as well. Boom. Okay, and it runs all the way across. That red line is called the point of control. And the point of control represents the point where the most volume took place in the session. Okay, the most volume took place at that particular price, which was $443.74. That's the most popular price inside of this particular session. Okay, yesterday's session, we scooch over right here. Yesterday's session was this red line. So that is at $465.93. So yesterday's most popular price was $465.93. That's where the most volume took place in that particular session. Okay, so today we are actually establishing lower value and a point of control that is lower than yesterday. So today versus yesterday, the general consensus is this is worth less than what it was yesterday. Value has changed. The point of view of value has changed. The next thing that I want to talk about is this orange line. Okay, so this orange line is called the developing POC, the developing point of control. All right. Now, what that means and what it does is it basically shows you where this red line was throughout the entire session. So if I was to play this whole thing back, if we go into the replay mode and go back to the very first candle, okay, we are going to have a profile that is developing. This is going to be the very first 3-minute candle. We already have a profile that's developing, and this profile represents what's taken place in this particular candle. And this is why I don't use the current session profile to trade with or to get my information. It's still developing. It's not mature enough. This only represents the volume inside of one candle, which is still very helpful. Okay, but it's not what I use to trade with. Now, inside of this 3 minutes, you can see that the most popular price for that 3 minutes was $456.71. That's where this red line was, right here. That is the highest volume that took place inside of this particular candle. this orange line is going to show us that that's where it was. Now, if I play this forward, next candle, we zoom in right here, and I'm actually going to make this orange line even thicker. Let's make it as thick as we possibly can. You can see this orange line right here. It's stepped down, which means that during this candle, during this next session, the most popular price actually moved down. It shifted down. It went from here to here. So the point of control shifted down. Now, if we do another playthrough, in this particular candle, the point of control did not move. It stayed exactly where it was. Okay. Next candle comes through. Again, same thing. Oh, no, it changed afterwards. So right here, the minute this candle comes in, the point of control shifted down to this price. So it actually stair-stepped. So you can see what is happening with the point of control by watching that orange line. You can see whether it's moving up or moving down. All right. Type a 1 in the chat if you guys are all following me. All right. And I'd love to hear if there's been any kind of aha moments so far, if there's anything that's standing out to you as like, oh my goodness, this is great. I didn't know that, or I love that. What have you learned so far? Throw it in the chat. Okay. All right. So this point of control has stair-stepped down, and we can play this whole thing out, and we can watch the point of control stair-stepping, and then right here, it actually shifts up. Okay. It shifts up and then shifts down again. And that's huge. All right. This is information this is what I'm going to focus on, is explaining to you how you can use that point of control to improve your trading, hold trades longer, maybe wait to get into a trade that's been just bulldozing its way down before you actually make an effort to buy the dip per se. Okay. So I just want you to see that this point of control shifts down, and you can see that orange line shows you where this red line used to be as it gets developed throughout the day. All right. So if we take this playback off and we go back into our session right here, you can see that orange line, how it transitioned throughout the day. All right. Now, this is one of the most cool tools that I use as far as I'm concerned when I'm trading. And the only part of the current session that I use is this developing point of control. I don't use the value area. I used yesterday's, but I do use this point of control as it's developing. Now, in a trend, all right, so what do you want to see in a trend? What do you guys want to see in a trend? So let's talk about an uptrend. Okay. Price is going up, right? Now, as price is going up, what do you think you'd like to see in volume? Do you want to see volume depleting, or do you want to see volume increasing as price is going up? What do you guys think? Let's take a poll. Consistent higher prices, increased volume. Yeah, increasing volume. Yep. Okay. So I talk about order flow a lot, and in one of my courses that I've taught, I teach about the order flow, and in it I say there's 2 reasons why price will go up. So price can go up because you have excited buyers, and price can go up because you have a lack of sellers. So if no one is wanting to sell down here, but you have somebody that wants to buy, then what's going to happen is that buyer is going to have to increase their price, or they will automatically, it'll happen when they hit a market, they'll have to increase their price to where the sellers are. So if they go and buy and there's no hit the buy button, you hit that market buy. And if you know what a market buy is, a market buy says, get me in now and fill me at whatever is available to fill me at. If you see that prices say down here and there's no buy orders in this area, and you hit that market buy and this is the lowest sell, you're going to get filled right here. Price goes up. That's what happens, okay? Because there's no sellers down here to sell to. So that's one way that price can go up. The other way is because everybody's excited. They want to get in. There's a frenzy. They're buying, buying, buying. And what's happening is they're using up all of the inventory that's all in this area. So all the way up, there's all these people that are interested in selling, and they have these limit orders, but the buyers are so excited and so energetic and so interested in getting into this that they are just using up that inventory. They're buying it, taking it off the shelves so fast that that people can't replenish it. The inventory is just not getting replenished. All right. So there's two different scenarios. Now, if price goes up, but volume does not, which scenario do you think you're in? Are you in an exuberant buying condition, or are you in a lack of selling position? What do you guys think? Let's do another little poll. Price is going up. Volume is not increasing. Exactly. Lack of sellers. Do you think that that information is important enough for you to make better decisions right off the bat? Yes? Yeah. So let's say that you're coming into a resistance level. Okay. However you pick your resistance. Could be off of the volume profile. It could be off of horizontal. It could be off of Fibonacci's. It could be off of candle patterns, whatever it might be. You have determined through your amazing analysis that there's a resistance level, and you see price coming into that resistance level, but volume has not increased. Do you take your profits and run, or do you hold and see if it'll continue to break through? What do you do? I know what I'd do. What do you guys think? Take profits and run. Exactly. Okay. Now, here's something else that I want to point out. You can have a big, giant volume bar down here. Okay. And remember, this shows me time. It doesn't show me by price. So let's say I have a great big, giant volume bar. And let's say that I have a great big bullish volume candle, or bullish candle, I should say. So price went from here to here. Okay. We had tons of volume, but what if the volume profile told you that volume was right here? Okay. So let's just say that the shape of the volume profile kind of looked like this, and then it just kind of did one of these. That's what the shape of the volume profile did. So you see a great big giant bull candle. You see a great big volume candle. Without the volume profile, what are you possibly thinking? Which condition are you thinking you're in? Are you in an exuberant buying condition, or are you in a lack of selling condition? I'm talking without the volume profile. Okay. You don't know. Yeah. You most likely will think it's exuberant, but you really don't know. Okay. You don't know. But the volume profile now shows you that the volume took place down here. Didn't take place. The high volume wasn't up here. Took place down here. That changes the perspective. So now you've got better context into how to read these candles, right? You got lots of volume here. You know you've got lots of volume. That's great. You've got breakout volume, whatever it might be, but volume did not go with it. Lack of sellers. Okay. So now the next thing is, what happens if you have a point of control that starts here, but at the end of that big bull candle, let's say it ends up here. Okay, so volume, the highest volume took place at the top of that candle. What do you got now? Excited buyers or lack of sellers? You've got excited buyers. Okay, excited buyers, absolutely. How many people think that this is a game changer right off the bat? Yeah? Cool. It is. It's huge. This is huge. Okay. So that's exactly it. What's happening, and what you want to see in a very strong trend is you want to see that price acceptance at higher levels. And what that looks like is lots of volume, but that point of control does one of these. Point of control stair steps at each level. And what that means is as price is getting to higher levels, it may do one of these. It may, price might go like this, might go like this, might go like this, might go like this, then go like this, right? Whatever happens inside of this, who knows? That's price action. It can be for all sorts of different reasons, liquidity issues. There's multiple different traders that are getting in, but that point of control, you watch that point of control stair-stepping and increasing. It tells a story that you can be more confident in your trade instead of watching all the minutia that's taking place, the stuff that really doesn't matter, the chop. Okay, because this is going to give you a bigger picture of what's happening with all of the time frames at the same time. All right, that point of control, as it's shifting up, is telling you you have a tremendous amount of strength to the upside. So if you are in a long and you are watching that point of control and you're coming into, say, a resistance level, then you have a better chance of breaking through that resistance level when you have a point of control that is shifting up like this. That's number one. So if you have an expectation or a desire to hold into another resistance level, you can do that with confidence. If you don't see the point of control going up with it, then, probably better off to at least take some off, maybe play a little defense, maybe watch a little bit, but you need to be a little bit more cautious because you don't have that volume, that exuberance going into that level that you had before. Okay. Yeah, it can definitely help with some false breakouts. Now, keep in mind that doesn't mean that the tides can turn. All right. That doesn't mean that just because the point of control is shifting up, that when it hits a resistance level, it's going to break through. There's no guarantees in the market. But what it means is that if it does hit that resistance level, let's just say right here, it hits this resistance level. And if it doesn't break out, then the selling pressure that's up here is really super strong. Okay. It's going to tell you a lot more about the sellers than it will about the buyers at that point, because you hit a very, very, very strong resistance level and they just overtook all of that buying pressure that came into it. And that's huge. And that's kind of something that you'd be wanting to pay attention to. So even still, the next thing that I do is, let's say that I didn't get into this bullish move. Let's say that I'm waiting until price gets up into this resistance level and I want to see how it interacts in that level. And then I want to short it based on my analysis, bigger time frame analysis. That's the plan that I've created. So I want to look into that. So as price is coming up, I see that point of control is shifting up. Okay, so we're coming into this resistance level. I don't want to short here, not yet. I want to wait. And the reason that I want to wait is because this strength is showing me that it's too strong. So the chances of me getting beat up as a bear trying to jump into this and going counter trend at this point on the intraday session is not a good idea. But let's say that it hangs out here a little bit. And in the process, it takes a little bit of a dip, because I totally expect a little bit of a selling to take place, because you're going to have those exuberant bulls that say, well, we've come into a resistance. I want to take some profit here anyway. I'm going to lock it in. You've also got some short sellers that perhaps don't really look at the information at hand, and they might be getting in just because it is a resistance level. You've got long-term traders that have a different plan, a different time frame, that may be entering or exiting the trade. So there's a multitude of reasons why you're going to get a pullback at a resistance level. So I totally expect it. Now, during that pullback, let's say that the point of control takes a little bit of a drop. Okay. Have we stopped stair-stepping higher? If we reached a level at resistance and then we drop down with the point of control, that tells me that we have run out of steam, or that we are running out of steam. The buyers are running out of steam. What it tells me, in order to get more excitement and get more volume back in, we actually had to reduce price. We had to lower price to a lower level to get more buyers come on. And that's the slowdown that I'm looking for. So if I was planning on selling at this particular resistance level, and I see a point of control that's shifting up like this, That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop and I'm going to wait until I see this shift down in the point of control. And then what will happen is it'll usually retest a resistance level. And that's when I can look to get in. Will I win? Maybe not. Is it a higher probability setup? Yes, absolutely. It's a higher probability setup. I've got volume on my side. But at this point, I need to see that there's some follow through. So it's a timing issue for me. So instead of setting my trade right here, as soon as it hits that resistance, I'm going to wait and see what happens with this point of control to decide whether or not I'm going to get into the trade. Okay, that's scenario number one. Scenario number two is if I'm in a long, or sorry, I'm waiting for a resistance level. So let's say I'm waiting to short off of this prior point of control. And the point of control for the day is sitting right down here. And I have bull candle, bull candle, bull candle, bear candle, bull candle, bear candle, bull candle, bull candle, bull candle. We're coming into this and the point of control is still sitting down here. Then I'm going to sell off this level because I already planned on doing it. I'm not going to do it because of the profile. I'm going to do it because I did some analysis and I picked a level that I want to short off of, which happens to be a high volume area. And I'm going to sell off that because I'm running out of buyers at this level. I'm getting some exhaustion as we're going up. We're coming into this resistance level and I'm going to wait for that pullback and see if we can't get some steam and take it back down to the other side. Because I know at a resistance level, I'm going to have some form of a pullback. I just need to see if that pullback actually continues into a reversal and actually takes out all this move and retests this volume level. Type a 3 in the chat if you guys are following me, if this makes sense. Yeah, 3 in the chat. Okay, cool. Do you guys have any questions so far? Anything that stands out to you that's an eye-opener? Is this any kind of an aha? What have you liked so far that's the most intriguing? So, makes much sense. Cool. So I am hoping that, because I don't see the record button on here, so I'm hoping that the recording session is still being recorded. So it will, because this is free week, it will be recorded and put on YouTube later this evening after I have a chance to upload it. Okay, so this is the only time I usually do not record my sessions. This is a freebie just because it's free week, so enjoy it. All right, cool. Stock Dog is in the house. How's it going, Stock Dog? Cool. All right. Okay, so that's that portion of the POC. All right. And the same applies for downtrends. So if you are going down, okay, you want to see that point of control shifting down as price is going lower. It's exactly the opposite. All right. So I've got a couple questions in the chat, so I just want to catch up with those. So what TradingView indicators are you using? So in this particular thing, I am using the session volume profile, which you can find in the indicators tab under profiles, technicals and profiles. And it is this one right here, the session volume profile. That's the one I've currently got, and that's the one I'm using intraday. All right. And you'll have to look back at the recording later to see how I set it up. This gives a lot more weight to my, yeah, absolutely. This is huge. It's absolutely huge in the way that you are, at least the way that I trade. I think it's huge, okay? Because there's a whole bunch of other stuff that you can learn and understand about the volume profile, but understanding from a perspective of value and what price is doing in relation to previous value makes a huge, it's a huge thing for me. So yes, let's take a look quickly at NVIDIA as an example. So if we look at NVIDIA, let's go back to right in here. Notice there's nothing else on the chart, just the volume profile on the chart, right? And you can see that this big, huge move right here, we had the point of control still sitting way the heck up here. It did not come down. And now you've got somewhat of a double bottom. Okay, you've got a huge, huge bullish candle right here. So this bull candle, lots of volume. It's a hammer candle. You did not break the low. It's worth a shot to go long, right? This is a high probability setup. Now, if the point of control was way down here, there's no way that I would recommend taking this trade. That's a buy the, or the sell the rip scenario, not a buy the dip. Right now, this is a buy the dip scenario, waiting for a moment where you get some slowdown, some change in momentum, and then you can jump in long, right? And that's exactly what this is showing you. So let's say that you go long. Where's your target? So let's say you go in long right here. Where's your target? Your target's going to be back up at this area somewhere. Okay, we're going to watch for it, and let's just play this through. You're in. Okay. Now the replay mode does something really weird with the POCs. Just ignore that. But right now, nothing has shifted down. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so there, we had the shift down. Oh, see, this playback does things. Patient with it. Let me just take it out of replay now. Okay, so right here, this is when, at this point here, this is when the point of control shifted down, which wasn't until this candle right in here. So we shifted the point of control down in this area here. It shifted to here. Okay. And then from there, it shifted back up to here, right about this area here. So the minute this shifted down into this area, I now have a zone that we need to actually exit out of. So if we start making lower lows, lower highs, whatever it might be, then I'm going to start managing my stop. I'm not going to go for this target because now this is actually shifted down and we need to get back above this area to start going higher. Could we do it? Yes, absolutely. But I'd be watching. This would be a critical level right in here for me to pay attention to. All right. And I don't know if that lines up with the VWAP. Probably does. So this might have been a really good target. And if I turn on the VWAP, let's grab it. I bet you that's where the VWAP is. So if we look at weighted average price right there, pretty close, not quite. So there's the VWAP right there. All right. And we did end up hitting it. So we were coming into that area, and that's where the volume kind of diminished. All right. So that's the way that I would never have taken this trade. And however you manage your trades is up to you, but I would never have taken this trade had this point of control come down here instead of up and instead of staying up here. High probability trades. This is definitely a hammer candle. I love hammer candles, trade hammer candles regularly. So this candle right here, not all hammer candles are created equal, but you've got this hammer candle after a great big bear move. You've got the highest bull volume on the day sitting on that candle, and this point of control had not shifted down. That's 1, 2, 3 strikes that say this is a good long, right? Then what happens is you get a little bit of a pullback and you end up with a double bottom. Excellent. So even if you didn't buy right that breakout and then you see this come in, you've got a double bottom, definitely look to take that trade, or even look for an opportunity to get down into this area here, right? High probability trade. Will it work? Nope. Not all the time. But like I said, high probability trade, which means most of the time it will. All right. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? You took that exact trade. Way to go, Cindy. That is super awesome. All right. Let's take a look at, what else? Let's look at Tesla today. Okay. Same thing with Tesla. Now you didn't get a hammer, at least not on, you got a 1, 2, 3, you got a 6-minute hammer right here. So this was a 6-minute hammer with lots of volume. So if we turn on the 6-minute chart, see if it doesn't, it's not going to show up. Maybe it's because these candles are different. So let's look at 5-minute. Still showing up as there is a hammer down there. I can see it. So maybe 10-minute. No, let's look at a 15. There you go. There's a 15-minute hammer. I can see the hammer. Okay. So, and what I mean by that is if I go into that 3-minute chart again, here's another little bonus. If we take, because all a candle is an open, a high, a low, and a close, right? That's what a candle is. It's got an open, a low, a high, and a close. So if we take the open, actually, I'll just use a pen. If we take the open, which is right here, And we take the close of these 3 candles, which is right here. Okay, and we'll make a body because the body consists of the open and the close. And then we take the high, which is right here. There's the wick. And we take the low. There's the wick. Combine those 3 candles. What do you get? What do you get? You get a hammer candle, right? You get a little candle that looks like this. Exactly. It's a hammer candle. Okay. It's a hammer candle. That's these 3 candles, this one, and this one combined. So the start of that would be at this candle and the finish would be at that candle. So that is a combination of 9 minutes, because we have 3, 6, 9. So it's a 9-minute hammer. Now, whether it starts or shows up on a 9-minute chart is yet to be determined, because the 9-minute chart might be counting this candle, and this candle in its combination. But you can look at this and you can definitely see that and that is a hammer candle when you combine them. And yes, that is one white soldier. Now, one white soldier patterns, engulfing patterns tend to double bottoms. All of those, when you combine them, they all turn into this. That's why they're all great reversal patterns. Harami candles, piercing candles, all of those. Take a look at it from the future. Take a look at some of those patterns. Look at the open of the candle pattern. Look at the close, the high and the low. Combine them together, and you will see this. You'll see a hammer. All right. Okay. So on Tesla, we have an engulfing pattern. We have a hammer candle. We have a double bottom. We have one white soldier candle. We have high volume in this area, but the point of control is still up here. We have a great big giant push down. You can even use Elliott waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're at a 5. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good time for a retrate test. There's a bunch of things that are saying, hey, let's keep on going. So we take the long, target is up in this area here. The point of control shifts down into this area here. And at that point, you no longer, you don't want to hold it anymore going into this target. You want to start managing it and then exit your trade for a profit. High probability setups, all from using the volume profile, where you would not have that information provided to you any other way, right? Game changer, folks. This is completely and utterly a game changer. How many people like this so far? You guys good? Tina says, wow. Yeah. Love it. Awesome. I like this for session trading. Same rules for swing. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the swing trading. So what I do with my swing trading, let's just take a peek at this because I think this is really cool. I love doing this. So let's throw on daily chart. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change this from a session volume. I'm going to change it. I'm going to add a high definition in HD version. So let's go into technicals, profiles. I'm going to do session volume HD. Now, the difference between the HD and the regular session volume is that row size is automatically scaled to fit the number of data or the available data on your chart. So I can get the volume profile to show further back. It's not as accurate, which is why I don't use it, because it will combine multiple price points to get more data on the chart. But this is how I want to show you this. Okay, so let's just jump into this profile for a second. And what I want to do is I want to turn the volume profile off. I'm just going to leave the point of control on. Okay, and we're going to turn off the histogram box. So I want to close that, change the opacity to 0. Now on the chart, you're going to see just red lines. Okay, those red lines are just the point of control for the session. Now, I'm going to turn the candles off. Actually, what I'm going to do is, you see this candle pattern right here. You've got 2-day candle pattern. This is a bear candle followed by a bull candle. And again, like I said, if you combine the two, you've got a very small body with a very long wick. You've got it's a nice little hammer candle. So let's just say that we are going to take that trade right here. Okay. We're going to take this trade on Tesla. We're going to play this trade. And then what we're going to do is I'm actually going to turn my candles off. I'm going to hide my candles. And then I'm going to ask you a question. What do you do with, longs. What does a long trend look like? Higher highs, higher lows. And we're running out of time. We only got about 5 more minutes. Higher highs and higher lows. The same thing applies to points of controls. And I'm looking for that with my point of control. So let's say we get into this chart or into this trade, and I watch this point of control shift up. It shifts down. Then the next one, I'm just going to make this over here. The next one shifts up. Then it shifts down, up, down. Okay. You got an up, down, and then a lower down. So you've got here's a new swing low kind of. There's our low. We've got a new high. And then we move up. We've got a new high. We make another low. There's another low right here. Are we making higher highs and higher lows with the points of controls? Yeah, absolutely. So I will carry my swing trades and hold them for much longer because I'm watching what that point of control is doing. And as long as the point of control is continuing to make higher highs and higher lows, I'm going to hang on to that no matter what's happening with the actual candle. I don't care what's happening with the candle. I care what's happening with the point of control. And my rule is when I get 2 shifts down in the point of control, which I got right here, after I get the 2 shifts down in the point of control, that's when I will move my stop up. So here we get 2 shifts down. So I'd move my stop below that candle. Now we're up, down 1. Okay. It hasn't moved down twice. Now we're up, down, up, down, or sorry, up, then down 1, then up, or sorry, move over, up, down. So right here, I get the second down under this candle. I'm moving my stop and I get stopped out right in here. All from watching the point of control. Now my stop was down here and I didn't have to move it again until it was up here. Pretty cool, eh? Nice. All right, now take that trade. You get stopped up around there. That's a 7.5R trade. Pretty cool, wouldn't you say? Yes. Okay. Now, same thing. Point of control, it's shifting up. And let's say that you want to sell up here. Okay. Are you going to sell into this as this point of control is continuing to shift up? No, you're going to wait until you get some shifts down in that point of control and then look for an opportunity. And you start getting this 1, 2, 3. The fact that this shifted down 3, 4 times tells me that we're getting into an area that is definitely slow, right? We're slowing down. We're losing momentum. All right. Doesn't mean it can't pick up again, but it's definitely lost momentum. And it continued a little bit higher and it starts to chop around again. And now we're back into that range. Okay. It is so cool, folks. We got 4 minutes left. That's it. So I'm not going to cover anything new, but I will answer any questions if you have it. Janet, is that my Janet? I love Janet. Janet is awesome. Thank you, Janet. So cool. Yes, Stock Dog, and one of my other favorite people right there. So one of my other favorite people. Cool. I got a few people that I just adore in here right now. That's awesome. Any questions, you guys? This was another great session. Thanks. You're absolutely welcome, Martina. Do you use this on all time frames? Absolutely. Any time frame, any indexy. You just want to use it where there's actual volume, because if there's no volume, you're dealing in a low liquidity area. You can't rely on the volume. It doesn't really help. You want to have high liquid, high volume areas, but anything, whether it be Bitcoin or futures, and I trade futures every day. So whether it's Bitcoin, futures, stocks, it doesn't matter. Volume profile applies. And how do you buy things? You buy things based on value. You buy things based on whether or not you think it's a good deal and whether you can think it's going to be more valuable in the future. And that's exactly what the volume profile tells you. It tells you what's happening with value throughout the week, the year, the session, whatever. I put on my swing trade charts, I have a monthly, a weekly, and a yearly profile on, as well as my intraday profiles for the intraday session. You are absolutely welcome. So do you calibrate the volume profile granularity according to ticks, or what is? So I do it based on ticks as best as I can inside of TradingView. So TradingView's volume profile uses JavaScript to create it. And I am not 100% confident in the data that TradingView provides me. I also use Sierra charts, which I know I'm getting tick value or tick information from, and that one I trust even more. So a lot of the stuff I'm pulling off of will be off of the market profile, actually off of Sierra charts when I'm trading, and I use the volume profile as well. So it's one of those things, you know, that you're going to get some anomalies sometimes coming out of TradingView, but they're getting better and better every single time. I've been hounding them for years to bring certain aspects of the volume profile in, and they've been doing it. So I love that aspect of it. And yeah, I hope that answers your question. So yeah. Okay. Thanks, John. Okay. Anybody else have any other questions? You're very welcome. Glad you liked it, Amanda. Chris, you're welcome. Carolyn, absolutely. Thank you, Jeff. Who we got in the house now? We got Mr. Newsom, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ready to party?
Yeah. Yeah. Folks, it was great. And for all of you that are in here, please feel free to join me and Dan tomorrow, same time as we record the Pivot podcast tomorrow. All right. Folks, I will stop the share and I will pass you off to the one and only, the legend, Mr. Jeremy Alexander Newsom.
Thank you, Tracy.
Take care of yourself. Folks,
best.
you guys, thanks.
Everyone throw in a T into the chat pane if Tracy has changed your life a little bit. Woo! Man, I'm throwing a bunch of T's. She is outstanding, and she's going to be at the Nashville Beginner Trading Conference and live retreat in the end of September as well. She's just such a wonderful person. Who was asking? Spicy said, do these recordings get shared with us? Yes, actually, check your email. We are emailing all the recordings, and we also are uploading them to YouTube.